Back with the global pandemic as we were discussing the issue of coronavirus COVID-19. As I said earlier on, so far so good. We have 81 confirmed cases, 3 have been discharged and 1 death. And in Lagos State here, schools have been shut down, organizations have been shut down, markets have been shut down. From Thursday, we had major markets being shut down by the Lagos government to prevent the spread of the virus. We also had the Lagos State government ordering transportation, or rather transporters, to space people in the bus so that people are not clustered together to avoid the spread of the virus. As I said earlier on, hygiene is really, really important. And if you're feeling sick, do call the health officials first. Do not self-medicate, as so far so good, there is no vaccine. Now, with the closure of the schools, closure of markets and basic organizations, there was a basic issue of the fact of the economy. How would people survive if there is a possible lockdown in the state? And a lot of people have been complaining, and even though Lagos State and lots of people have tried to register different amounts of money, organizations about 1 billion naira, 50 billion naira, there's still the issue of how will the masses survive if there's a possible lockdown due to this virus. Already, people are already closed up from their shops. People can already go to markets. They can't sell. Those who have to fend for themselves daily cannot do that. Victor Iron.
Well, it's a serious situation because we find out that even while we were moving freely, hunger was already dealing with us, not to talk of this situation whereby there's a partial lockdown. People are being asked to stay at home. And we know that our economy is driven by individuals who go out daily to impact their daily bread. Those who sell pure water, those who ride tricycle, who drive tricycle, those who ride motorcycle and drivers. So these people being asked to stay back, how do they feed themselves? That is the question we are asking ourselves. And when we look across the world, we find out that some other countries, like in America, the president has signed out $2 trillion, and every average American will be given $1,000, which is a very big money there because the economy is far better than ours. With 2 cents, you can buy a loaf of bread. But here, I think the cheapest loaf of bread in Nigeria is 100 naira. There's no more a loaf of bread of 50 naira. The cheapest is 100 naira. So that is the problem we are having. Some other countries, apart from America, Britain and others, have started to give largesse to their citizens to cushion the situation. But as we know that Nigeria is a country whereby the citizens are not cared for. It is only those who are in power that have access to free money and they live larger than life. So that is the problem. So the question, how will the common man survive this situation? And that is why I believe that there's going to be disobedience to total lockdown, because when people are hungry, they will definitely come out. If we look into the Bible, we find out that when there was hunger in Syria, 2 women agreed that they should contribute their children. One provided her son after they had used that son. Then it came to the turn of the other woman. The woman refused. And that one caused a lot of trouble between those 2 women. So we should pray that we shouldn't get to that level. So when government said that people should stay indoor to prevent the spread of this contagious virus, there should be provision for people to be able to live, because nobody can just stay at home without food. Once you are hungry, you will be forced to come out to look for what you are going to eat, and that is not going to help the situation. So government should look inward and make provision for people that they are asking to stay indoors so that they can get something to feed on for them to remain indoor. Okay,
I like what you said, and of course this was the fear of a lot of people, and that's why different people, we had Aliko Dangote, 1 billion naira, Femi Otedola, a lot of people donating money. We also know that I saw a picture of the Lagos State governor creating the bags of rice, distribution for the poor and all that. But there's still a question of what would be the method of the distribution for these materials, for the money, because we've seen lots of people donating money. So that's the question a lot of people are asking. Do you feel that there will be equal distribution for this?
Well, all over the world, you can never have equal distribution of funds. What we usually have is a fair distribution. I've heard people say that there should be equal distribution of wealth. You can never have equal distribution of wealth anywhere in the world because everybody is not equal. There are some people, what Buhari as a first citizen of this country will have access to, you and myself will not be able to have access to it. But what we are saying is that why Buhari being the first citizen is being able to have all the cars that is having access to, have the good houses and good clothing. I as a citizen should be able to have access to at least a piece of cloth that will cover me when I'm sleeping in the night, or a bowl of rice to eat. That's what
in transmission, and we were rightly talking to Victor Aye, talking about the mode of distributions of these materials. Yes.
I was saying that the method they were using to distribute rice and clothing material to the citizens while they were campaigning during election, they should use the same method. And again, some of us have BVN. They should use the banking system and look at those people that have accounts that are so rich. They don't need these funds. It is the ordinary citizen that need this fund. Somebody that has only 1,000 in his account now, 2,000, you know that's one person. So they should use the banking system, look at people's account and distribute whatever they want to distribute. If it is 10,000 they want to distribute or 5,000, they should use that system. So it's not so cumbersome the way they are saying it, they are portraying it. It is because they don't want to do something. If they actually want to do something, it is not difficult to know those that are poor. They should go to the marketplaces, go to bus stop and begin to distribute whatever they can distribute. As many that are able to have access to this thing, that is their luck. I know it cannot go wrong because a country of 200 million people, there's no amount of donation from people. At least the few ones I've seen, UBA 5 billion, and there's another company 1 billion. That is 6 billion. If we distribute 6 billion to 200 million people, how much will that amount to? It's not going to be up to 500 naira.
Okay.
It's not up to 500 naira.
All right. So far, even talking about the billions, almost 31 billion naira has been accounted for. We also know that the ministers too have agreed to share part of their salaries to aid. Well, we don't know when, but at least there's an effort there. Christopher, what's your own take on this?
You know, the fact that there are no data is a valid argument.
Yeah.
No data for distribution.
No data for anything.
Anything. It's a big problem.
When you have contributed billions of naira or dollars, as the case may be, for whom, to whom, how? And when you say they should distribute rice, to whom, how? You carry a bag of rice to bus stop, the sack will not survive, let alone the rice. So you won't even know who you have given it to. The only solution right now is to use, first of all, the government should find a way to open the markets one way or the other, improvise some kind of opening, and then use this as some kind of guarantee to beat the price to the barest minimum.
But if you open the market, we're trying to curb the spread of disease and people being plenty in an environment.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that, but he has also said that he's opening special markets. So you find that we limited, even if they open markets, to be with limited people. But we know that our markets, we have lots of people there. No, what I'm trying to, we have we can't escape it. We cannot escape it. Why? Because if you decide to lock down this way, our situation can only bear it for like 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And that the 4th week is breaking point. By the time you are getting to the 5th, 6th week, you are getting to a tipping point. And we don't want coronavirus to become the excuse, to become the excuse for our own, what do you call it, Arab Spring or African Spring, So what I'm trying to say is that we need, excuse me.
All right.
Am I okay now?
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that our situation is peculiar. We need to be creative. All right? When I said an improvised market opening, use these monies to use the opportunity to slash down the prices and flood the market with all that you need to buy, all that you need the people to buy and all of you, whatever you. Now, thirdly, it's time also for governments to enter the minds of the people. At this point, it is when we live together, right, and tolerate each other in love that we can survive this situation. All right? Now, that's what Corona is calling out for us, calling us out for. That humanity in us and community in us is being called out now.
Okay, sorry, I would like to cut you short there because you're still giving the issue of slashing the prices.
Yeah.
These stores are supposed to go out free. So will people rather take a slash in price? And what's the guarantee that people that are selling it will actually slash prices?
The point is that when you say it's free, how are you going to distribute them? There are over 30 million or 20 million people in Lagos. How many rights are you going to distribute to how many millions of people? All right? So let's not fool ourselves. We can decide to bury our heads in the sand as the number is convenient for them, just distribute to anybody who gets it. And then it's okay, whoever gets it, fine, it's your luck. No! We are not in that situation right now. We are in a situation where you have to be fair and you must be seen to be fair. All right? And the best way to be fair in our context, that's what I'm saying. The government should use that money, buy as many food as you can, distribute, the market networks. Distribute it to the market networks. People can each, and you can now regulate the price. If a bottle of rice is how much, 500 naira, you can say because there is a government assisted subsidy right now, slash it to 200 naira, whatever it is, so that you can now also say, even though we are locking down markets, right? Maybe we'll dedicate a day. On a Saturday, everybody can go and buy what they want, whatever they want to do. Go back from Sunday, no market. You have to. The objective is this. The mass of the people must have access to food, and then you must, while you are trying to also save them from corona attack, you must create a mix or an equilibrium between the two. Otherwise, you can't leave one for the other.
All right, Christopher, I'll still come back to you.
Yes.
But now, Victor, I had talked about using BVN to distribute the money.
Yeah.
You talked about having an open day market, having a day, slashing prices, which would still bring more people into the market because people will troop into the market, and we're trying to avoid contact, crowded places. I'm still coming to you.
Yes.
So that's an issue there. Ayo Baje, what's your own take on that?
Thank you.
Do you have another solution of how we can distribute the materials?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I think I want to use this opportunity to thank the government through the governor of Lagos State for that very idea of, thinking of giving out bags of rice, beans, and some other
basic food items,
plus vitamin C. Now, why do we have local government areas with local government councils? Why do we have LCDAs? And this is one of their functions. Let me tell you this. Bill Gates wrote a book back in 1999, and he talked about doing business at the speed of thought. And he said that the companies that will do very well in the new millennium are those that have credible data, those that can analyze this data, those that will not just analyze this data but will be able to practicalize it. It's the same thing. Now we are going to, with time, the issue of census will come up. The coronavirus has come as a challenge for us, for the government, for the people, to know exactly who are we, what is the number of people. We have households. After all, these people, they come around if they want you to pay one form of tax or the other. So they should be able to identify. Let me say something. I read something online when the article suggested 10,000 to each household. A man came up with a calculation. He said they had calculated that we have about 40 million Nigerians that have a BVN. And if they have this BVN, that who is talking about 10,000? That is about 250,000. And he calculated the total, and it's nothing as far as if you consider the resources or the huge or the humongous amounts they normally earmark every year talking about budget. Now, I've read very much about the reactions in other countries, in Ireland, in Britain, in America. You discover that most of the companies that are in charge of groceries, those who are supplying food, many of them have voluntarily come up with the support of the government anyway, that, okay, schools that are closed, this is what we are going to supply to students or pupils, between anybody that is less than 18 years of age. And this is the time, I think in most of the instances, it's between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And they are giving out both, the breakfast and the lunch. So this is a challenge for us. We have to work it out. The Lagos State government has talked about, starting with maybe 200,000 households, and this thing should last for some few weeks. Let's see how it pans out.
How would they get the households from the 200 households?
What I'm saying is this: use the local government councils.
Local government councils.
Yes.
You talked about the issue of data.
Use the LCDAs, and don't politicize this issue, because that is an angle that could be very, very serious. Don't politicize it. We're talking about the welfare of the people. After all, what I used to ask the younger generation, I said, what have you gained from this government or from any government since you are young? I know I've told people that I could identify with government in my younger days because I went to school on scholarship.
All right, okay.
And things of that nature. So the government is forced, compelled at this very critical moment to do something for the citizens. In fact, anybody that has a human heart will fail for this. So this is the time to give. So why do you have local government? Why do you have LCDAs? Let them start. Let them, and it will even assist them to get the data. It may not be credible at the end of the day, but let's start.
All right, you brought about the issue of data, Christopher, and of course you talked about the issue of local government. We are not praying that it should last very long, but do we even have the resources, economic resources, to even combat this virus if it lasts longer than this? Because you brought data and all that, and we know that we talk about local production in the country. Do we see a problem coming out of this?
Well, there is problem, because even those we expect to tell us, empirically, they don't even know. You want to tell you maybe a few months more. Some will tell you, will be honest with you, whatever plan we're having, maybe 2021, that means we may die before the end of December.
God forbid.
Amen. But let me tell you the truth of the matter. The situation in Nigeria today, there are many windows of escape from this coronavirus virus and oil price crashes. There are so many windows of escape for Nigeria, away from oil, away from corona. We are even lucky that we are the least exposed to coronavirus. Whatever coronavirus we have today were imported by our big men. Let's face it. And that's why we have to be careful what we're doing now. There's a way you push. The word on the street is that it is the big men that have put their own on us right now with coronavirus. So they better not push us more to the wall, because the people will so react, they will not know what hit them. So the truth is that this is the time for us to go back. I attended Aret Adam last lecture, and I thank God I was there. And I remember what a few people said, and I'll quote them here. Chamberlain Oyibo, who was one of the GMDs, said, before oil came, which was not long ago, we were running a government. We ran a nation well with agricultural products. I've now heard today that corona has cut our soil. Do you understand? So it does not take rocket science to go back to the farms. That's one. Two, I think there is, why we may be in this kind of strait in Nigeria today, is that these politicians, we don't have elite at such. We have a corrupt elite. Fraud, elite by fraud. That's what they are. Most of them, not all. right now, the community effort that that is latent and this government and these people have forgotten is called upon. We will rise up one day and know that we don't need the Julius Berger to build a road for us anymore. The young boys and girls in a community can build that road based on a certain template. Everybody come out and farm, everybody come out and build road.
But we're talking about local production and diversification of economy.
Yes, that's what we're going right now. And then again, we are also wasting a resource. And those are the churches, they are the mosques. For instance, I hear governments training, struggling to do what do you call it? Testing and all that. Instead of shutting the churches and mosques down, turn them to test centers. They will even provide those equipment and test their congregation for you. But we are losing them. Fine. Now, secondly, those networks too can provide for the economy as we speak today. So it is, we are called right now to think outside of the box radically and dramatically.
All right, thank you very much. People are outside the box. I want to hear from Victor.
I wanted to add something to that.
Okay,
because that question you asked, let me say this.
Quickly, please.
The World Health Organization, through the Director General, has warned, and even before then, Bill Gates also warned, through this Melinda, Gates Foundation, that if this issue should hit Africa as a continent, that there will be problems. You ask that question, how are we going to contain it? They also specified that the fact that if we don't contain it, we must do everything humanly possible at this critical moment to prevent everything that has to do with preventive measures. Must be put in place. Yes. Let me just say this: between 27th of last month and now that we had the first case, you see, we have been very lucky. How many cases now? Maybe 81 or 82.
81 cases.
81 cases. But that in Italy, Spain, and one or two other countries, within that short space of time, 200,000 cases. By the time you add the figures together. So what we are saying now is that all efforts at this moment should be, deployed towards preventive measures. And the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, has warned that community transmission will be worse.
Okay, we've heard about all this, and of course that is why the federal government and the Lagos state government is really hinging on people to stay at home to avoid the spread. Now we're going back to health matters here. You brought the issue here, things that we should learn, local production, diversification of the economy. Now health matters. We know that has been one of the big banes of the country, and now we're facing a global pandemic. And even yesterday we had the United States government talking about going doctors to bring in their visas and come to the country here. And I must commend Lagos State government. At least we've seen a bit of fumigation and making use of stadiums and making use of stadiums mostly for isolation centers and all that. Victor Aya, looking at the health facility in Nigeria, how would you see as a better way out of this?
It will be very difficult because any country where the leaders don't use the health facility there cannot develop.
Exactly.
We find out that once you are elected as a councillor, as a chairman of a local government area, as a House of the State, member of State Assembly, as House of Reps, Senator, once there's a slight headache, or just going to check your health status, they pick their passport and fly abroad. With such a practice in place, there is no way our health facility can be improved. Just like the education sector. The reason why the education sector is so poor is because our leaders, the children of our leaders, don't use them. Because they have access to foreign education facility over there. So there is a need for us to have a legislation that will bar our leaders from using foreign hospitals. Exactly. Bar their children from using foreign schools. Anything apart from that, we will just continue to wallow and we'll be talking. There's nothing that will save the situation until we have such a law that will say that once you are elected, right from councillorship to the presidency, you don't have the reason to go out of this country to access foreign medication. There is a situation now that some big politicians have secretly run out of the country today. The question we are asking is that those countries they are running to, if the leaders there fail to make provision for high quality hospitals, where would they have been going to? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Why are they quick to run away? They are not even ashamed. I think they should bury their faces in shame. You have been in a position of leadership for years. You could not make provision for even to build hospital that will take care of yourself. We are not even talking about the masses, just for yourself within the country, so that to save us from the shame. It's a great embarrassment for leaders for country flying out of the country every now and then. It's a big shame, but they are not ashamed. I don't feel ashamed.
But I have news for them.
I feel ashamed.
Wherever they are,
I belong to a country where my leaders, once they have a headache, they take their passport and fly to other countries. I feel ashamed.
What about the health personnel also? The doctors?
The health personnel, they are practicing on their own. You know that as we are seated here now, if you have a better offer elsewhere, you have the right to go. So we cannot be cast, we cannot be bad.
So now that we have the United States now following them, do you see?
We don't even have enough.
What do you think the federal government should do now? Should they have like probably better health hazards for them, or things that you can do that will not even have?
If I were to be a medical doctor and I have access to American visa, that I should come and practice there, I will rest at it. What am I gaining here? I'm not a elected citizen of this country. I'm not holding any political office. Once you are holding a political office, you have to demonstrate by leading by example. If your leaders can be sleeping in foreign hospitals, if their children can be accessing foreign education services and tourism center, why should ordinary citizens, because I'm trained as a medical personnel and I'm being called by America to come and serve there, that I will not go there? What is the difference? If your leaders can quick to run away, I should be able to go away. So there's nothing wrong about that. I'm not the one causing it. If our leaders are sitting behind, staying behind here to develop the hospital, to develop our education sector, then I will say no, Nigeria should go away. But they have their children outside, and some of them insinuations are all over the place that some of the leaders are already sneaked out of the country. Are they good leaders? So we cannot blame those people who want to go away to go and practice. Okay, if they have proper salary and allowances here, will they go to other countries? The answer is no. There was a situation in this country where people will go out to study. As soon as they complete their study, they come back home to come and practice their profession here. Why? Because as soon as you finish your school, either abroad or here, you are entitled to employment and with a car. Do you still have that today? The answer is no. So there's nobody who will suffer if our leaders don't want to suffer. By leading by example, today, the members of the House of Representatives, the senators that have been engaging us in hypocritical preachment that we should practice homemade goods, and the ones say that they cannot buy cars from innocent. Is that not hypocrisy in the highest level? You have been telling you close the borders, that we should patronize homemade homegrown rice, but the same people are telling us that they cannot use the cars that are manufactured by a Nigerian citizen. I've never seen such a deception in my entire world. So we cannot blame any medical doctor that have access to go outside of this country to practice.
Let me add this. I think what has happened now has exposed whatever rot has taken place in Aso Rock Clinic. Yes, the billion that have been voted over the past 4 years, about 10.4 billion. And then you are talking about lack of ventilators. So what has that money been done? And you say you are fighting corruption. I mean, you have to walk the talk. Let me say this. I think we have been deceiving ourselves for far too long. And most Nigerians, I would say, love to be deceived. This coronavirus has come like a whirlwind to expose so many things that has been happening in this country. There is no value for money, hard-earned money, public money. If you say you have been voting so much money for Aso Rock Clinic and all the rest, and eventually there is an emergency situation now, and that same Aso Rock cannot take care of the health of those who are supposed to be there, then what do we say? What type of example are they teaching us and then leaving for our children? If you look at it also, lies upon lies. I think Dr. Chris Ngige said that we have enough doctors. It is now apparent now that they are asking for what? They are asking that those who have retired and all the rest should come in. See, government is for the people. It's not just for the political elite. And in fact, I'm using this as a challenge to Nigerians. One, to get to know what is happening in government. Two, to know that you are part and parcel of whatever is happening in government. This is democracy. We are not running a feudal system. We are not running a military democracy. I mean, a dictatorship. What we are running is supposed to be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But what we have is government of the people, by the people, the selected ones, for the political elite. The irredeemably corrupt, the conscienceless class of people who think that what belongs to the people is just for a few of them. So it's very, very painful. Just one thing. Sorry to the infrastructure is not there. Let's not deceive ourselves, and it's now clear.
Okay, you're talking about the government of the people. I know that even within the week now, there was one of the globally renowned Islamic cleric, Mohammed Tawhidi, known as Imam of Peace, and he's currently dragging the Nigerian president, Muhammadu Buhari, over his incompetence. And of course, this has called lots of Nigerians to call for his resignation, even as people still fear for the state of health of the president. We know that the chief of staff, Abba Kyari, tested positive for the coronavirus, and people know that he was also close to President Muhammadu Buhari. But according to the press statement, they said there was a test for Buhari and he came out negative. But people are still calling on him for him to address the people. So I'll end with that with you now, talking about the government of the people, because people are saying, where is the president?
You know, look, I make no bones saying this. We don't have a government. We only have individuals in power using the levels of states for their own personal whatever. And they apply the Nigerian name when it's convenient. Okay? Buhari, Jonathan, Obasanjo, all of them have shown us that they are same old, same old. So we are caught in the corner with this cycle of people. So whatever, it's not peculiar to Buhari alone. We were almost in this state with Jonathan, one way or the other. We were in another state with Yar'Adua before he left us. Obasanjo placed us in a third-term agenda and all of those things. So we always have this drama.
But do you think that President Buhari should address us now, physically?
Long ago he should have, but he cannot.
Why?
Because he doesn't have the intellectual capacity to do that.
Exactly so.
That's truth. Or Shibagi, we should have been allowed to do it. He's been caged needlessly. All right? You know, so what we need right now, government has gone out of the hands of the individuals in power. The government is actually begging the people to take advantage of it.
Exactly.
You know, how do we take advantage of it? It's just like the police situation that we are in. You know, when you have a crime you want to stop in your place, you go to the police station. That's government. And you go to the police station and they tell you, you say, there's a thief in my house, come now, come now. Say, and the man calmly tells, address you as if nothing is happening. You say, thief in your house. We don't get fuel for motor. I want to put it down. Now, what you then do, you have a choice whether to start debating with yourself, corruption in Nigeria and corruption in police station, or to give the man money for his fuel, buy the this and come and arrest your criminal. And we all choose that latter because we need to be safe and secure. That is the decision we are in right now. You have taken as a citizen the power, the function of government just for your own, to save yourself. That's where we are in right now. So if the people can get up and tell Buhari, you have to do this now, he will do it because that's why you put him there. You wake him up to do it. But right now, everybody's on his own lane. They are there, we are here as spectators, and they're just playing the ball. And we're looking at them. And it's our ball they're playing. But so until we wake up to that possibility, that's reality, that what they are doing is actually our affairs. And we actually have to stand up to them and tell them to do the right thing for us.
Now, if they fail to do that, Victor, do you see a state, there's already tension in the air. Yeah. And there are even questions on if the border is really closed, on people leaving and people even still coming in. Do you see chaos and anarchy starting in to dwell in if the presidency does not address this issue at the moment quickly?
There cannot be chaos in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes, because we are divided along religion, along ethnicity, along region, along state. When Charlie Bon went to Abuja to go and protest, what happened to him?
They beat him.
He almost lost his life. And when another group of persons went to Abuja to protest, another group went to attack them. because they felt that, is it because my brother is there now that now you are now seeing the ease of this society? When your brother was there, what do you do? So as long we are divided along this division, nothing will happen in Nigeria.
Or do we need that division now?
We don't need it, but we started from colonial era. Look at the division of the regions that time. The division of the region were divided. The regions, the country was divided along regions, along ethnic lines. The southwest dominantly Yoruba and Delta and Edo. In the north, Fulani and Hausa. In the south, in the east, Igbos. So tell me now how we can change that narrative.
But those cracks are beginning to close up.
Let
me tell you, hold on. Those cracks are beginning to close up because of the forces of nature that are beginning to unite us. Hunger, poverty, everywhere. And the dethronement of Lamido is very significant to what we're talking about. He's a northern elite, just like the story of Moses. Okay, Moses was an elite in Egypt. And one way or the other, he fell out and he decided to lead people against them. I'm not saying that may happen now, but I'm saying that the features of normal people's response is beginning to dawn on us as a people and as a country.
All right, okay. Unfortunately, we will have to draw the curtains here. We're not praying that this continues, but of course, this issue is still lingering on. We're still calling on relevant agencies to actually do the needful. We've said it here. We have to really come together, forget division or whatever. We have to come together and think outside the box to solve whatever issue we're having in the country. But personally, please stay safe. If you know you just came back from outside the country, please self-isolate. Do not self-medicate. Please, hygiene is key. We're all praying for good health of mind and body for all of us here.